My name is Polly Officer. I'm a senior here at UCA. I come from a really big family. I'm number 10 in a line of 16. All but 3 are adopted, and I was adopted when I was 2. As a child, when I was really young, like 3 weeks old, that was when I was first given to my adoptive family as just a respite. They were only going to keep me for a couple weeks, and then they brought me to a visit with my birth mother, and she ended up running off with me. And they told the state, and they're like, "Hey, where is she? We're worried about her. She's only a little baby. What can we do?" It's like, well, technically she's with her mother, so we can't do anything. But she'll be safe. I guess this is what'll happen. And so my parents were very worried about me. And a couple weeks later, my dad was driving another foster mother, because he would drive them to their visits, and she was saying, "I'm just really worried about this little baby. She's probably going to die. This is a terrible environment." And my dad was just listening in, because she was telling somebody else in the car. He's like, "Wait, do you know where this is? Do you know the location about this? Because this sounds kind of fishy." And so the foster mom told my father, and he called the police, and they went, and there I was. I was high off of drugs. I was very close to death. It was very bad. But they took me to the hospital, and my adoptive family now got custody of me. And 2 years later, they adopted me. And it's really crazy to think, because I found out later that my birth grandmother was also fighting for me in a legal battle. And usually when it comes to actual blood, when it comes to foster kids, the relatives always win it out. They always win. And so that's a God thing in and of itself, that she didn't gain custody of me. And I look at where they are now, and my grandmother's not in a very good way. She's not a Christian in the least. And it's awesome to think that God had a plan for me from the beginning and put me into a loving Adventist home that takes care of me, and that has really set me up that I can actually do something with my life, have a future, and be successful. So I think that my life in itself, for me, is a miracle. I know there's lots of crazy miracle stories out there, but for me, it helps through those hard days when you're like, hey, you're here for a reason, something's going right, you just gotta trust. So, junior year, I had the opportunity to go on a mission trip to India, and that was always one of my dreams. I always wanted to go across the seas to help out somebody, especially and share the good news of Jesus. And that would never have been a possibility without having a place like UCA who actually sets it up. And when it comes to raising the funds, because that's not a cheap thing, they also help you out with that. So it really changed my life, because we take so many things for granted. And I went over there for 2 weeks, and they're so happy all the time with the little things that they have. They get a pencil after answering a question about a children's story I told, and they're ecstatic. They're just so excited. And so it kind of put into perspective how precious life is, and how the littlest thing makes the biggest difference, and that we take so many things for granted. So I really think it impacted my life just to have a different perspective. Also, being able to perform for different churches and stuff. We go on a lot of tours as a part of the music group. And one of the things I'll never forget, sophomore year, we were doing our downtown concert in the spring, and we were singing "I Fixed My Mind," and our doors were open at the church, and we were just halfway through the song, and we were just going at it, and it was gorgeous. And this homeless guy walks in the middle of our song, and he just goes, "Wow!" And it just, some people get in the audience, like, why are they doing that? Because we don't talk during performances. But for me, that was just like this actually is, because sometimes you just sing a song and you're like, well, I've sang this like 50 gazillion times, because with practice and all that. But it made a difference in that one guy's life, and who knows what his story is going to be? Who knows, that could be the changing point in his life. So I really feel like knowing that our music can also help others is also something that I really love, because, yeah, I love music. So right now we're in the music building, and I basically live here. Music is my oxygen. I would suffocate without it. So that's also a huge reason why I wanted to come to UCA, because they have such a phenomenal music program, and the faculty who run it, our music directors, they're just the best. I love them so much. And yeah, my sisters and I, we would do music ever since I was, as long as I can remember. We have little videos of me when I was 3, singing with my sister Susanna, just little ditties around the house. And we'd beg to do song services at church and stuff just because we loved it so much. So it was really awesome hearing that I had an opportunity to go to a school that would help me grow both academically and musically. So I think that's a really cool aspect of UCA. My family, when it came to sending me to a boarding school of any kind, were financially challenged just because there's so many of us. And it's really hard to support one child, let alone if I went, then my brothers would want to go or my sisters would want to go. So that's like 5 at one time. So that was kind of iffy. And also, my mom wouldn't want me to leave home. She didn't trust necessarily when it came to boarding academies, just because you don't want to send your kid away. You want to keep them as close as possible. So those are probably the 2 biggest challenges, financial definitely being one of them. My sister Susanna came to UCA for Academy Day, and she talked to the recruiter and got hooked up with some awesome scholarships, FoundationOne being one of them. And so by Susanna kind of forging the way for me, like broadening the trail, I kind of could slip into those other scholarships, and it showed me that scholarships were actually an option. And so I am definitely reliant on those, otherwise I wouldn't be here at all. The FoundationOne scholarship to me is basically the reason that I'm here when it comes to arriving here. I would not be here, I can tell you honestly, I would not be here if it wasn't for that scholarship. It makes such a huge impact in my tuition, and it means so much to not only me, but to my family, because I am able to broaden my horizons both musically, spiritually especially, socially, and the most important, academically, because the school has a great academic system. And it also just, the way that it's set up, just makes you into a leader, someone who you can actually go out into the world and feel prepared that you know what you're doing. So it really means a lot. It's basically setting up my future. Making a difference in one person's life is worth more than any money that you could, how much money you could make, honestly, because I know that it's iffy when it comes to donating your money. You're not sure where it's gonna go. You're not sure if they're gonna appreciate it or not. But there's always that chance that you're gonna change one person's life forever, and that you'll make them into the most amazing person that they could be, just because you decided to give just a little bit of your income, just because you could, you know. So I feel like the chance of impacting someone's life is worth the risk. It's hard to put into words. I'm a very sensitive person to things like that, especially financially, because growing up in a big family, you know, you're scraping paycheck to paycheck. So, I mean, to think that someone would just give because they could without me doing anything for them, or they don't even know who I am, it's mind-boggling, and it's beautiful, because it's, I mean, you know, it's the most precious gift. And I don't know, it's so amazing that there are still people out there who care enough about, you know, the average Joe, or, you know, little student at Upper Columbia Academy who they'll never know or probably never even get a chance to meet. That is so amazing to me. After UCA, I'm going into music. I think I'm going to be a music major, and I want to be a music teacher in a facility such as UCA, because my music teachers have really inspired me in my life, and I feel like being able to give back a little bit would be cool. I'm also going into business administration to keep on with my leadership skills, because I think that's something I could do and be happy doing. I'm still on the fence about that one, but definitely music is a part of my life, so I'm going into that.